Hey guys, it's Chris here.
How's it going, guys? Ray here.
And we're Expert Dummies, bringing you a Blackpink, essentially like a review of the documentary on Netflix by Blackpink. Ray and I, we watched it together. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, our first Blackpink reaction video did pretty well. I mean, you guys were very, engaging in the comments section. And during that reaction video, we were asking for you guys to leave comments about the band and just some general knowledge about the band members. And just about every one of you guys recommended that we watch their documentary on Netflix. So like Chris said, we took some time out. We watched the reaction video. We watched the documentary, and I mean, so what are your thoughts? Chris. I mean,
well, yeah, I thought it was really interesting. So I didn't know how essentially the music industry worked within Korea.
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting to just understand the development of, I guess, K-pop, and I do think that it was kind of brought to my attention in the documentary that it is kind of like a broad stroke. K-pop is kind of
very general, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different combinations of hip-hop or EDM or whatever it may be.
Pop culture, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of under this umbrella term K-pop.
Yeah, K-pop just covers Korean music pretty much, is what at least that's what I got from
which probably isn't fair, and it might be a Western term onto it. But I thought it was really interesting just in general with this YG Entertainment, and how even they would travel to Australia and Thailand and kind of have auditions, and obviously we're from the United States, so we're used to a musician starting on maybe a startup platform independently and then getting signed to a label opposed to auditioning. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah,
no, I mean, like you said, in the United States at least, where we are, it seems like as an artist, you use an independent platform to promote your music, whether it's YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, etc., in hopes of a record label, coming to you and offering you some kind of deal. Where in Korea, it seemed, and like you mentioned, this YG Studio label, it's kind of interesting how they travel to different countries, putting on these auditions and people having to try out, which I thought was really interesting, because it's something that just in our culture is different. We do things differently, so it was cool to see it from a different perspective. And like you mentioned, they traveled to, was it New Zealand, Thailand, Australia, so looking for talent.
And I even did a little bit of independent research, and I was looking at some other artists, and my girlfriend actually showed me an artist who was in a K-pop band. I don't remember the name, but he's a pretty popular rapper in Korea now, but he was essentially auditioned in Washington, the state, and it wasn't. It might have been YG or maybe a different subsect, kind of the record labels there. But they came to Seattle.
Oh, wow.
He auditioned and obviously made it to a K-pop band. Then traversed into his own career path. But
wow, yeah, that's
interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah. So they definitely expand and everything, and I thought it was really crazy too, or just not even crazy, but interesting how essentially how this whole process worked. But when Blackpink was announced, it was YG presents its first band in 7 years.
Yeah.
So it was kind of oh wow, they have these people in these girls and guys training for
years,
6 years, and I really like that we got to see this story. But I also wonder what happens to the people that don't make it as well.
Yeah, because like you said, they had people. The documentary said, was it 7 years or their first all-female?
I think 7 years. Yeah, 7 years. Yep.
So in those 7 years, I have to imagine that there were other females and other female groups that were trying to make it through the academy. So it's kind of crazy how YG, I guess, sets that standard where they evaluate, and if they feel you're not ready, then you don't get displayed, you don't get put on that platform.
Yeah. And it's obviously the ultimate trust. You'll be a phenomenon if you do make it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the ultimate, I don't know, prize or reward, but it's a lot. I mean, you're going through. I almost feel bad for the members of the band, Jisoo, Jennie, Lisa, and Rose, because even at the end, you saw when they were crying about their family
and
not
the lack
being
of
able
personal time and stuff like that.
How do you even have friendships? Like, you know, besides the people in the band, how do you have any type of
personal relationships or
romantic interests or whatever it may be? Like, you pretty much can't. You're on the road, you're traveling, you have to, and then on top of like traveling, performing, then you have to do choreographed dancing.
It's practicing, you know, like it seems like it's a 24/7 job because like you said, you're traveling for tours or, you know, you're performing, you're practicing, like you're mastering your craft like 24/7. Like it seemed like there was almost no break for them.
Yeah, and like I almost felt for them a little bit just due to that. I was like, wow, like this is pretty ridiculous.
Especially I would say during that training period, you know, because it's not like they trained for a few months and then boom became Blackpink. You know, like they trained for years, you know, and it's like you're away from your family for years and you really don't know, like they weren't knowing that like, oh, we're going to take off and be Blackpink.
Exactly.
You know, like they were just kind of every day taking one day at a time, hoping that in the end it would pay off, and obviously it did, but just that uncertainty of like, how are we going to make it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think like there was even a point when they were all talking at like a dinner table at a restaurant or whatever it may have been, and they were just saying like, oh, like, do you think when we're like 42 we'll be married and or like maybe freshly married, you know, and like and that's crazy because like obviously they're thinking that they'll be freshly married, and I think one was born in 97, so she's probably like 23.
20,
you know, so you're talking about like 19 years. That's crazy that, you know, they're expecting
to have no commitments, like no
like
time,
essentially you can't have any, like it's just your job is limiting you to that, and obviously they're making a lot of money and such, and it's a big sacrifice, but I just found that pretty wild.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did too. I thought it was insane, just the time and effort and energy. You know, like you said, there were scenes where they were on the plane and these poor girls just looked exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
Like they looked so mentally drained, physically drained. I forgot which member of the band, but one of the girls said that like in the little free time that they have, like they try to take care of their bodies, whether, you know, therapeutic, yoga, Pilates, like they try to do something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I just thought that was interesting. But, yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk about now, because another point that I found interesting was that I just assumed that these girls were, like, childhood friends who, like, maybe from the same neighborhood, family friends, and just kind of, like, grew up together. And in the documentary, we quickly learned that, like, that's not the case. Like, these girls came from different backgrounds, different cultures, different countries. So
like, essentially, like, you know, I think it was like Lisa was living in like Thailand. Rose came from Australia. I think Jisoo might have been the only one that was actually from Korea. Like lived actually in Korea. And I think Jenny was moved to like New Zealand and then kind of transitioned back and forth.
And had a little back and forth.
Which is, it's just like like you said, the chemistry that they had too. You would think that they were friends forever.
That's what I would assume. Like grew up, you know, friends since 6 years old type of deal, you know.
Yeah, and I think I think it's interesting too how like the agency pairs the groups together too, and they kind of see that. I do think in the documentary they mentioned that when they did get there, I think all four of them roomed together essentially at first, and they were kind of up all night, you know, playing music and
together.
Which is really cool. Yeah, definitely. But I definitely found it interesting, just like the different regions that they came from and how they were all spread out and how essentially like, you know,
they came together.
It's
weird because it's almost like fate. Like these girls all happened, like despite coming from different countries, different backgrounds, like they all happened to audition, make it, and like I don't know, be put on the same team for lack of a better term. Like you know, I just thought that was kind of wild, and I thought it was pretty cool how the documentary they talked about. They used like their cultural differences as like a bonding mechanism because they were all from like foreign countries, so like they helped each other cope when they were going through tough times and stuff. So I thought that was cool. I thought that was interesting and helped them bond, and as you alluded to, like helped them form that chemistry. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're gonna get down to it. Who's your favorite member?
Oof, my favorite member. That's tough. I'm going to say Lisa's probably my favorite. You know, she was the one that was into like, you know, like the fashion, the vintage clothes. And I just thought it was funny how she was like, yeah, I mean, my mom manages like my finances. Like I just kind of spend whatever. And she manages my finances. And she just seems so laid back, so down to earth. And I like how she was the member that brought like that positive energy, like that positive vibe. She was the dancer, and a lot of the girls like looked up to her as far as like, wow, like, you know, I have to be on Lisa's level. Like, you know, she's so she's so good at like the dancing and the movements, and like it all comes natural to her. So she's probably my favorite. How about you?
For me, it would be like, I think it would be Rose.
Okay. She's the one from Australia, right?
Yeah, and I just found it, one part that I found like really funny is essentially like when she was about to audition for, you know, like YG.
Yeah.
Essentially, her dad asked her, was like, do you want to audition? And she's like, I like music. And her dad was like, well, you've been playing piano and guitar since you were like, you know, 5 years old. What do you mean? And I just thought that was really funny.
Almost as if like, you know, me, like audition.
Yeah,
like,
she just seemed like very humble and like, you know, kind of just really humble of her skills, and kind of shy also as well,
right.
Of the group, and kind of not wanting to like stick out in front. But yeah, even her, like, she would also dive deep into like her family and how much she missed her family as well.
Definitely,
so it's easy to relate to these things. So I don't know, that's kind of why I liked her. I definitely want to know who your favorite is.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, so just drop the comment of who you like the best, and kind of like a little description why. And whether you agree with Ray or I, you know, whether it's Rose or Lisa or Jisoo or Jenny, you know, like whoever it may be.
I feel like they're all humble, you know, they're all likable.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But
yeah, definitely.
I also thought it was cool how when they came to the United States, I think it was it Coachella? Was that their first time performing in the US?
I believe so.
We could be wrong, even though we watched the documentary. We could be wrong, so please correct us if we are. But I think that scene where they were performing and getting ready to go on stage at Coachella, and they were so nervous as to like, how are they going to receive us? You know, like, how are fans in the United States going to react to us? Like, have they ever heard of us? Like, our music? Like, you know, so I thought that was cool, and I was glad. I was happy for the girls to see the fans like rocked with them, and, you know, just were excited to see them, and, you know, it seemed like it was a clear success at Coachella.
Yeah, definitely, and the choreographed dancing as well. Like, like just like their whole act is ridiculously intensive. I feel like, just like from their dancing to
all the practice,
their singing, everything they do is pretty extravagant. And their music is really good too. And I thought it was cool when they were in the studio. I think it was Tony Park was their producer. And they were just like, you know, kind of going back and forth, and you could just see the chemistry kind of that they did have. That was just really cool, kind of candid moment there as well. And,
definitely,
and that was really cool. But I'm definitely down to do more reactions for Blackpink.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have songs that you want to hear or hear our reaction to, like, please, like, let us know. Drop it in the comments. You know, we're a fan of the girls. We're a fan of the band itself, you know, the music. So please drop it in the comments. Let us know what you guys want us to react to. And any other knowledge that you guys have about the band. I'm glad you guys suggested watching the documentary, because now I feel like it'll make our reactions like that much more fun. Like, we'll be able to, like, we know their names, we know their styles, like, we know a little bit about their personalities and backgrounds. So I think it'll just make our reactions better too. So yeah, please drop some comments. Yeah,
thank you for recommending the documentary as well. Like Ray was saying, we now know a lot more information about them. Which is really cool, honestly, and I found, like, you know, myself really liking the band and kind of thinking about a lot of the information that was within there, like, you know, after I was done with it, and kind of pondering on it. But besides that, like Ray said, drop some comments, let us know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on the lower right hand corner, and when you do, thank you, and if you don't, thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you next video.